Hey, it's Joe. I usually don't do a pre-roll, but we've had so many new listeners roll in recently. I just wanted to kind of point you in the right direction. I'm not on social media much, but if I am, it would be on Instagram. You can find me at Joe Ryan on Instagram. People who are asking how to support the podcast, 3 ways: share, rate, review, or submit a donation. You can find that at joeryan.com/support. I also do coaching. If you are looking for somebody to work through some issues with, you can go to joeryan.com/coaching and set up a consultation to see if I'm a right fit for you. Okay, that's it. Hope you enjoy. Here we go. What do we fear most? Our internal emotional reaction, the feelings and emotions we can't control when we hit that trigger point. Sometimes it's sadness into this huge shame spiral that leads to depression that we can't get out of. We can't snap out of it. We don't even understand it. It just takes us over. And emotional paralysis kicks in. We don't understand these feelings. We don't understand these emotions. We don't know where they come from, why they're so hard to get out of it. Anger, another one. We're not allowed to have our anger, so we just keep taking these resentments and storing them away inside until one day somebody says the wrong thing and boom, the last 8 months of resentments come tumbling out, usually on the wrong person. We're not aware of our own internal cues, of our own emotions. We have built so many layers of subconscious, unconscious defenses that kick in. You see, for us, we know at some point we're losing control of our emotions. We don't know which way they're going to go. We don't know what's going to bring that on. We live and walk around managing, not allowing this to happen, but we don't know how to do that. We fear it coming. We know it's coming at some point, and we do not like having no control over them. See, we don't know what we want, we need, and feel. How many of us as kids were told, what are you sad about? You have nothing to be sad about. I'll give you something to cry about. You walk into a room and you're like, I'm lonely. You're not lonely. There's plenty of people around here. We learn not to trust our feelings. So whenever we had feelings that we weren't allowed to have, we cut them off and we deny them and we stay really far from them. And unconsciously we have these layers of defenses not to allow ourselves to feel them. And that's just not human. We need the full range of emotion. So these layers that I speak of, these layers of defenses that we have to peel away, we don't even know what they are. We are just walking reactions. Unconsciously, we don't pay attention to them. We don't look at them. We don't want to go into that place to recognize them, to befriend them, to get comfortable with them, to hold them, to become a part of us again. And that's the defenses. You see, they're there. They want to come up, these feelings. They want to be felt and acknowledged, but we just hold them back and we don't even realize it. My biggest fear is slipping into a depression. My biggest fear is not controlling my emotions when they come up because they are too powerful and I just don't understand them because I had never spent time with them. I've cut them off because they feel shameful. I have this process that has come about over the years of doing this where I feel fine. Everything's good. I'm light. I'm airy. There's no internal disturbance. And I used to just pretend when the disturbances would come up that they weren't there. So I would I would drink more, I would work more, I would keep busy. There would be no empty space, there would be no silence, because somewhere inside of me, I knew that if I slowed down, they were going to take me over. And then I was done until they were done with me, and it passed. And sometimes it would be months or weeks or days or who knows how long. I've come to recognize what the process of the layers showing themselves to be. I'm fine, walking around, everything's good, light and airy. Slight disturbance starts to come up in me. I start to get more anxious. I start to get out of my body more. I start to get busier. I start to distract. It gets louder. The disturbance gets greater within me. And that's when I realized that at some point I'm going to need to sit down and be quiet with myself and tend to whatever it is that is showing itself to me. And I slowly start to feel worse, but I know now that I can't avoid them. So I sit there and I let them come. And I feel horrible. I let it just ride through me until it peaks. Then I will go and I am open and raw, because at some point after it peaks and it starts to subside, the thoughts and the feelings start to match up, and I'm able to connect the dots. And I can see how I've been acting and my ways of defending against not feeling, not opening myself up, not being vulnerable, not taking chances, and I'm raw. And I often wonder, does anybody else see this? Is this completely transparent in me? And then there's this open wound that you start to walk around with, where you feel exposed. You don't have that layer of protection anymore because you just uncovered it. And you don't know how to feel safe in the world without it. And as hours or days or even weeks, sometimes months will pass as this wound heals, and we slowly realize that we don't need the defenses that we just uncovered to feel safe. We own this part of us that we've discovered, and we realize that we didn't have a choice. We had to have this defense there to feel safe. And then we own it and we build our strength up. And then we start to feel good again. And we start to feel light and airy, like there's no disturbance within us. And then after a certain amount of time, with that growth, the next layer starts to show itself, and the process repeats. See, I guess the best analogy I can give is if you are physically healthy and you have no cold or you don't feel ill in any way, so you're walking around and you feel healthy, then all of a sudden you can feel something's going on inside your body. You don't feel 100%. You feel that something's coming on. You feel like you're about to get sick. And you don't want to get sick, so you start pumping vitamin C in you. You start eating healthier. You start taking care of yourself a little better. You start resting a little bit more. But whatever's infection is inside of you, it's already there, and it's coming, and you know it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it comes, and it takes you over, and it knocks you down. That is the same as with the feelings that start to arise when the next layer comes. The illness kicks your ass. You are in bed. You have no energy. You are taking care of yourself. You are being kind to yourself. You are nursing yourself back to health. At some point, the illness will peak and it will slowly start to subside. You don't feel 100%. You feel cautious about taking care of your health, making sure that you're dressed warm enough when you start entering back into the world outside of your bed. You take it slow. You build yourself up slowly. You know you're not 100%. And what happens is, over time, your body heals and you feel 100% again. But you don't know the moment that that happens. It just does. And then you feel good, and then you live your life, and then you wait and fear the next time this layer is going to expose itself. Because it will. Just like we physically will get sick. It's cold and flu season. We will have another layer present itself. It's the fear of it coming and not knowing how to deal with it. Knowing that it's coming should take away some of the fear. At some point, the more you pay attention, the more you realize that it's going to come, the more you allow it to be there, the more you sit with it and soothe yourself and heal yourself and sit with those feelings and self-love and self-care, the more practice you get at that, the easier it becomes and the less we fear it. I mean, listen, I hate when it comes. I know when it's coming. I can feel when it's coming. It's like, just tell me, show me, let me feel it. Let's get through this. I know I can do it. I've done it before. I'm strong enough. It's just I don't know where it's coming from and what's underneath it. And that unknowing is what's scary. See, most of us grew up in a place that wasn't stable. There was no consistency. It was very unknown. Things would come out of nowhere. And we would fear anything that was unpredictable. See, this is predictable in the way that you know it's going to come. It's unpredictable in knowing what you're going to find out. And we're fearing our own emotions and the truth of us and our reality. I don't like the shit I find. I mean, I'd like to keep this, this ego self-image of, I got my shit together and I don't have to do this work. But that's not the reality. The reality is there will always be work to do. There will always be something to uncover. Not fearing these layers, not fearing these emotions. And start to get comfortable with them and hold yourself through them, just like you have that box of tissues and that blanket and you're wearing the ski hat and you're sweating out the fever, you're taking care of yourself. You see, we don't treat ourselves emotionally the same way we do physically with illness. Emotionally, we deny it. We don't want to face it. I mean, think about how weak your body is when you have the flu. It needs to be loved and cared for and treated for. But when we feel that way emotionally, we just deny it and plow through it. You ever try running a 5K when you have the flu? Yeah, it doesn't work. Do you know what it's like to function at a high level when an uncovering of a layer comes? And what do? We push it down and we beat ourselves up for being weak, for not being as competent, for not having our shit together. We cannot deny this anymore. We have to feel it and go in there. What happened to us wasn't our fault. The way we covered it up and the defenses and the blind spots we have was just us surviving. We don't have to live that way anymore. I don't like being a walking reaction. I don't like walking around fearing bad feelings coming. I don't like that I have to stop my life to sit home for a day and a half to process what my soul is telling me I need to acknowledge. The kindness that you show to yourself when these layers come will determine how long they last and how painful they are. When they first started coming with me, I was kind of like, la, 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 la. I'm not listening. I'm not paying attention. I can't go there. I can't see myself in that light. I can't see the truth of me. I can't see that side of me. I need to be over here being all shiny and glossy and put on a facade. The humiliation of what we expose of ourselves is the healing. See, what's your secret? What are you hiding from yourself? What are you hiding from the world? What do you not want people to see? What don't you want to see within you? See, that's not who we are. Those are our defenses. Those are the things we needed to do to survive. We do not need them anymore. But we don't even know what they are because they're so unconscious. So pay attention to that disturbance inside. Pay attention when it comes. Address it. Sit with it, acknowledge it, write about it, do whatever you need to do to get in touch with what is pushing through your soul. So we don't have to walk around fake and phony anymore, not to let myself see it or feel it. The layers will keep coming. The beginning is brutal. They never stop. See, if you're not doing the work and you haven't done the work, you have 72,000 layers pushing through all at the same time. And it's overwhelming and you don't know where to start. But as you start to unpeel them, the good feelings, when you feel well, last longer. And when you last longer in these good feelings, when the uncomfortableness inside, when the disturbance inside starts to come up, you know it because you've created space. You see, if we don't create space through these layers, we just feel shitty all the time, and that becomes normal. We just think that that's the way we're supposed to feel. Our nervous system on high alert 24/7. That's not the way we're supposed to live, but that feels normal. And when you create space and that nervous system ratchets down, and you feel peace inside, when disturbance comes, you will start to pay attention. You will start to welcome it. See, when I feel it coming now, it's not I run and hide. It's like, all right, here it comes. We're going to have to deal with this because we have felt good for several months now. We like this feeling. And I don't want to push this off and delay it and have this low-grade chronic pain flowing through me for days, weeks, and months. I want to hit that shit head on. I want to get in there and I want to know what it is. I want to experience it, and I want to get to that place of peace after uncovering and processing. They do spread out. They do take longer to come around. They are difficult the further you go in it, as far as it's easy to sit with it, but it's difficult getting to it because there's just such a depth, and it's so complex, and it's so intertwined with so much that has happened in our lives, that to parse all of that out and get to the point where we can connect the dots and we get that moment of, I get it. That makes sense now. I don't have to do that. It's harder to get to that place, but it's not as painful because you've done the work. You know what it's like. You know your process. We need to learn how to feel, accept, and manage the emotions, not let our emotions manage us. So when they come up and you start running and that's your first instinct, stop. Make time for your feelings and emotions, just like you would make time for your body if you had the flu. We do not value emotional health in this world. For some reason, we think that we're all supposed to be happy and blissful all the time and present this image of, I got it together. We're all a fucking mess on some levels, and we're all pretending that we're not. And until we start owning up to that dark side of us, things are not going to change within us, and they're not going to change in the world. You have the power to heal yourself. Fearing our emotions is so controlling. It is so manipulating. It is just so fearful. They're emotions. It's energy, emotion. How could something that lives in me be so terrifying that I have done everything humanly possible not to get to know me? Because getting to know ourselves is painful, because we have to find the truth of what lives within us. We have to go into the shame and the hurt and the pain, and we have to admit the things that we did that were bad and wrong, and how we hurt ourselves and others. We have to grieve. We have to grieve loss, grieve hurt, grieve pain and betrayal of ourselves. Because no matter what has happened in our lives, we have to do the work ourselves. Nobody's going to knock on your door and go, I am so sorry for what I did for you. We have to say we're sorry for how we treated ourselves because of what has happened to us. There's a love that you have for yourself. If you're listening to this, if you're writing, if you're reading, if you're discovering, if you are working on this, there is a love for yourself. Tap into that. Know that putting yourself in uncomfortable feelings is love of yourself. You want to feel better. You want joy. But what you really want most is peace. And we get that by not fearing ourselves and our own emotions. Thanks for listening. You can contact me at joeryan.com. Follow me on Instagram at joeryan. And if you want, you can leave us a review on iTunes. That'd be great. All right, take care.